woman can be either too tight or too loose in her pelvic floor and muscular surrounding her hips. And so in either of these, we can be too tight and also weak. A muscle can be tight but also weak because it doesn't have any strength in that position. It also can be too loose and too weak. And it could be any combination of these. Like, so a certain muscle group in the pelvic floor can be too long and weak, while another one is too tight and is overcompensating for the movement that she's trying to do. And so just like we want to get the diaphragm and pelvic floor as major muscle groups to work in harmony, the whole pelvic floor structure needs to work in harmony as well. And so an internal pelvic floor therapist will be able to diagnose in which areas you're too weak or too tight or too long or loose. And so what I can do though is prescribe the right time under tension based on the symptoms that you're experiencing. For example, if you know that you're too tight or you have a hard time on the inhale, if you have a hard time relaxing and letting that pelvic floor expand. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to increase the eccentric portion of the movement. And so the eccentric portion, instead of it being maybe a 1 second, let's say for a squat, for example, when we inhale on the way down, we're supposed to feel that pelvic floor relax and lengthen. This is an unweighted squat, by the way, because we're still learning breath. So if you're having a hard time feeling that expansion, I'm going to make this into a 4, maybe 4 seconds to get down there to the bottom of the squat. Okay? Maybe we pause no time at the bottom because we don't want to add any pressure yet. And then we're going to come up, and we're going to take our time coming up as well. But contracting the pelvic floor is not something you have a problem with, so I'm going to keep this as maybe a 2. And then we're going to take a 1 to 2 second breath at the top and just feel what's going on. Okay, so eccentric 4 second, 0 second pause, concentric 2 second, 2 second pause at the top to regain our composure before we inhale on the next one. So if you're someone that has a hard time feeling the contraction of the pelvic floor, when you exhale, think ribs down, pelvic floor comes up and in, you have a hard time feeling that gentle lift of the pelvic floor up and in. The elevator doors won't close, or maybe the elevator doors won't rise. So what I'm going to do there is I'm going to increase the concentric portion of the lift. So eccentric is going to be maybe 1 second on the way down, 0 second pause on the way down, and then coming up where our muscles are supposed to be coming together, up and in, I'm going to make this something long, like maybe a 4, maybe a 5, maybe a 6, depending on the load and the movement and your symptoms. We can make this portion long so that you're taking a long time to feel the concentric and the lift. You're giving yourself the time and space for your body to do what your mind is telling it to do. And then we'll take a little bit of a break at the top. So, too tight, not feeling the expansion, we're going to increase the eccentric, going with gravity. Too loose, not feeling the contraction, we're going to lengthen the concentric portion or moving against gravity.